Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an extremely special episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from West Hollywood, California. I'm your host, Vito Glazers, and I'm here in the studio with one of the legends of direct response and affiliate marketing and one of the greatest event hosts of all time, D-Money, Darren Blatt. Darren, how does it feel to be in the studio today?
Man, I got to take you everywhere with me. You're my new hype guy.
Let's go.
Let's put a clock around your neck. You're my Flavor Flav.
Let's go. I got the clock on the wrist. Let's make it happen, man.
I like that. I like that clock a lot.
There we go.
So yeah, man, thanks for having me here. It's been a fun journey. It's fun to watch you grow and tell me what's like.
No, I love it. So it's not about me today. It's about you. What I want to share with my following and a lot of the people, because a lot of people who follow me now, they're like influencers. They're people that are trying to learn how to make money from their image, from their personal brand online. And what I'm really excited to share is that you're going to be here as the expert who's throwing all these big events with big celebrities. And you're going to give our viewers 3 important tips that they can actually apply and throw their own events and maybe have some success or integrate some of the things that have made you successful into their repertoire. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about why are you the expert? Who is Darren Blatt? What are you, for those who don't know you, what is maybe an accomplishment you're most excited about and about sharing, and tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got started, and how you ended up being a success in Hollywood today.
Well, thank you. It kind of dates back early on. I was in high school, my senior year, and my brother was working at a concert club. So for fun, I was hired to be a bar back. Now, I know that I was underage at the time, but, I was allowed in. I didn't drink, but I was bar backing and working with Nirvana, Soundgarden, George Clinton, all these huge artists back then. This is like 1989. I'm showing my age here. But I got to be around that. I got to see how it's done. I got to watch them book the artists, and I got to, I feel like I know great music and I have my finger on the pulse of music. So coming up in that industry, starting off my senior year in high school, went to college. I worked at a huge concert club. During college, I was a bouncer and I would help book artists as well. So for me, I kind of had that background already of kind of knowing how it's done. How do you book an artist? How do you get a venue? It was kind of interesting when I got into digital marketing. I noticed that a lot of parties out there, they were kind of lame. Just a bunch of people going into like a hotel room and they were all crammed around. There really wasn't anything going on except for a bunch of people with some free booze and, it was pretty lame. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking there's got to be a better way to do events, especially for my industry of digital marketers. So if I could just kind of produce an event that I would like to go to, mm-hmm. then that would kind of bring people into my little web mm-hmm. where I can now attract somebody that wants to do business with me by giving them maybe a VIP pass for Snoop Dogg, right? Yep. Maybe a sponsor wants to go backstage and meet Snoop Dogg. So that's kind of hard to do without money. Yep. So then I figured, okay, I'm a marketer. I can chop this thing up into sponsorships. Mm-hmm. And that's how you can throw your own event for free.
There you go.
Let's make a course out of this.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Well, this should be like a little bit mini course. But before we break down, kind of the mastery of how to apply it, one of your big claims to fame is that you were the founder of the Players Ball. Is that a rumor? Is that true? Tell me about the Players Ball. What was really your role in that?
Okay, so there's 2 big Players Balls out there. There's the Don Magic Juan Players Ball mm-hmm. for the real pimps and real hoes.
Okay.
The pimps up, hoes down one.
Yep.
That's him. I started the internet division. I call myself a PIMP. Because I'm a professional internet marketing person.
All right.
So I stay true to the game.
Okay.
So let's just stay true.
Yep.
So I've always thrown that Players Ball starting mm-hmm. in 1999.
Yep.
And for a lot of people that remember the AVN Awards, they're still around.
Yeah.
CES show was always at the same time. So a lot of people would be in town for CES, AVN show. My event was targeting the internet marketers of AVN's show, Internext. So mm-hmm. I would get the night where the porn stars were in town still from the video side. Mm-hmm. The internet people were about to start their trade show. Mm-hmm. So my big appeal was this pimp and hoe costume themed event called the Players Ball. Mm-hmm. And what you would expect to see at a Players Ball would be about 3,000 people in the digital marketing industry early on, early before it became what it is today.
It must have been the whole industry pretty much back then.
Literally the whole industry. And what was nice about it is it was a fun time. It was a party. I would have Cypress Hill, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Too Short, Digital Underground always opened up.
Yeah.
And it was the party that you'd want to be at, especially because in Vegas, we were dressed as pimps and hoes.
For sure.
And nowadays, you'd be me too'd a little bit for doing that. So we don't do it anymore. But it was a lot of fun while we did it. Suited and booted, gaiters, 3-piece suits, Snoop Dogg. That's when I met him for the first time in 2001. So it's been a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of stress to have to organize and make sure that you get an audience and then also raise the money to make it happen. Because as any good promoter would tell you, you don't want to have to fund it yourself.
Right.
So that was kind of my niche. I figured it out, how to chop it up, how to make it pay for itself, maybe even make a few bucks, entertain my entire industry and get more business out of my industry.
That's amazing. And that Players Ball really, I have some great memories of it. And there's some great video clips. I love that you're kind of getting the clips back circulating out there. But, maybe you have a couple or a story. What's one notable story that's really sticks out to you over the years you did? What'd you do, about 15 Players Balls?
Oh, we did a lot. We used to throw them twice a year, starting in 99 to about 2013, I think is when I stopped. Some of my favorite times were Snoop Dogg's that had to be my favorite one. I even know the date that it happened.
What date was it?
June 29th, 2001. It's one of those things where if I was in Hot Tub Time Machine, I would go back to that date and do it again.
2001, that was right when the Chronic had come out too, so that must have been like the peak of his celebrity.
I'll tell you what happened. It was 3 days after Suge Knight just got out of jail.
Oof.
Right?
Okay.
And I remember Snoop's management said, we need metal detectors. And I thought, for my internet nerdy crowd, we were going to have metal detectors. But then I realized, Suge just got out of jail. So it's kind of a hard time. Plus, it's Vegas. Tupac got, shot there. And so, the whole Vegas history is, not good. So we had metal detectors, and it was a lot of fun. And Snoop came as a pimp. And I believe, and I don't know if this is true, but I believe it was the first time Snoop came out as a pimp. And he changed his image as a pimp for the next decade. Yeah. That was his thing, right? He was a gangster. And then he came to my party, suited and booted as a pimp, brought Don Magic Juan and all the real pimps from the documentaries. And even brought a couple hoes to match his outfit, which I thought was, accessories to the finest. So that was probably my most favorite time. We used to give the big Woody Awards, which was probably one of my most fun parts of the event was a local surfer in San Diego would find driftwood, and I'd ask him to carve them into these huge dicks.
That's okay, for the adult industry. That's
the adult industry.
I get it. Okay,
because everybody thought they had the biggest dick, right? Right. So if you're going to win an award for being a marketer, you want to swing that dick really big.
There you go.
Is this a PG show? Can I say this
I can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. So,
free speech, baby. Let's
go.
Who
wants the biggest dick, right? So we had a lot of fun with that. So I ended up giving Snoop Dogg a big Woody Award, and that was a lot of fun. And they came in different shapes and colors. They were hand, crafted. Even the Family Guy did a spoof. Look it up on the internet. The dog, I don't know.
Yeah, Brian.
Yes. He made a porn movie, and they spoofed my Big Woody Awards and kind of merged it into an AVN Awards meets Big Woody Awards. But it was satirized on Family Guy, which
that's making it.
That's
the top,
right? So
congratulations,
went straight to the top.
Cool.
But yeah, there's been a lot of fun moments. I would say one of the things about that night with Snoop Dogg, because this is probably one of the things that promoters don't tell you, is you usually get a back line and a rider, and it's all the equipment, and then you get okay, he wants only green M&Ms and PlayStation games and all that stuff, because Snoop wanted to have 2 consoles of the PlayStation, 2 of Xbox. You have to have the basketball. It was crazy. It's
let's break it down. Let's break down Snoop's rider. This is something that I don't think a lot of people get to hear behind the scenes. Start at the top, go to the bottom. What do you remember being most notable about Snoop Dogg's requests when you booked him?
Well, that, like I said, it was those video games that I had to have. So we had a 3-level venue at the Venetian, and the top level had these private suites and stuff. So we could put a video game up there, but this was for Snoop Dogg. This was for the dressing room. He wanted to have these video game consoles, which I thought was kind of weird, because usually an artist comes in, they perform, they literally get there right before they perform, and they're out.
Right.
So it was kind of weird to have all the video games. of course, there's all the food and stuff. Later on in life, I figured, okay, I need to negotiate these riders because you'd be running around the city grabbing different flavors of Snapple. That was ice cubes. He had to have all the different flavors of Snapple. No pork items. You have to have food. So I learned you do a buyout. You know, it's so much easier because I'm busy. I'm working a trade show. I don't have time to run around the city for all this. But the part that wasn't on the rider, that was kind of an assumed thing with Snoop. The manager's like, yo, where's D-Money? I'm like, D-Money's right here. I'm right here. He's like, Snoop wants to know where the weed's at.
Uh-oh.
I knew it was a Snoop Dogg show.
Yep.
So I came prepared. And this is 2001. A good friend of mine, Evan, is up in the Bay Area.
Yep.
And he had Humboldt County's finest.
All right.
He had the sticky, icky, you couldn't even roll them into joints. It was too sticky.
Yeah.
But back then, Snoop had a guy on the payroll for like $30,000 a year, literally, to roll his joints for him. So I remember handing off this ounce of weed to Snoop's guy. And Snoop backstage takes an ounce of weed, rolls it into maybe 8 blunts about that size, really thick. And in Vegas, you're not supposed to smoke weed. Even to this day, even though it's illegal, you can't smoke weed in a venue.
Right.
So Snoop in his 3-piece suit and his feathered hat and all that, it was crazy. He comes out there and lights up a joint, right? A huge blunt. Starts passing it around. I have Jenna Jameson in her prime, Brianna Banks, wall of Penthouse Pets.
Yeah.
And he's smoking this blunt as if it's legal already and passing it around to all the people on stage.
Yeah.
Eventually, he had over 100 people on stage. I've never seen a stage with 100 people on it. So long story short, the security tried to stop him from smoking weed.
Yep.
And he's like, don't you know who the fuck I am? I'm Snoop Dogg, motherfucker. You can't stop me. And he's like going off.
Uh-oh.
And then the security guy gave up, walked away. Snoop Dogg does one of these and keeps hitting the joint.
Yep.
So the rest of the night, we just kept smoking weed that whole night.
That's a fun.
I've never told that story anywhere on the internet, so you can only find it.
There you go. We got an exclusive on from D-Money on Snoop Dogg's with Snoop Double G, D-O double G, and so 1 ounce that was enough to hold him over.
8 joints. It was
8 joints.
Crazy.
I don't know. Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of weed for only 8 joints.
Big question for you: does Snoop Dogg smoke indica or sativa?
That's a good question. I just know he never stops smoking. Whatever
that's
it
what
is,
I've heard. Yeah,
he never stops.
He just chain smokes. Huh?
Yeah, whatever you see on TV, that's legit. Like he's funny and he's always smoking.
What was your favorite song that he performed?
Oh, he had a song called Stacey Adams. And in that song, he talks about when the player's ball rolls around again, I'll be sure to win. That's
that's what's up.
So like I thought, okay, he came like prepared to win. So I had to give him an award, which I did. So that was probably the highlight for me, was that it was kind of incorporating my event into the song, which was already a song. I just didn't know there was a player's ball song.
There you go. Well, we're going to have to find some of that footage and cut it in here so people can get the full picture.
I'll give you a little snippet.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And so you've got quite a few events though. Okay, so player's ball, that's kind of, when did you guys do the last player's ball?
Somewhere around, I think 2012, 13-ish. You know, it was like a 13-year run roughly.
Yep.
And at the same time that I stopped the player's ball, I started the mainstream version, if you will, called the affiliate ball, which is very exclusive. And it's only for performance marketers online. And it's an invite-only event. Usually it's an official event of a big trade show.
Right.
So not everybody could get into that one unless you're in the industry. And then I have my AFI Awards, where you can see the AFI's hat I'm wearing. That's a performance marketing award that I started sort of at the beginning of the affiliate ball run. But in recent years, we turned it into a big ballroom gala.
Okay,
so you
cool.
can win an award if you're in the industry or be nominated. And what makes my events a little different is that I like to incorporate comedy. And I know you're big into comedy. We've had Ben Glebe host the last one. And then before that, I had to have Jeff Ross.
Absolutely. The roast master himself.
Yes. And, you know, he called me a sick fuck to my brother. He's like, your brother's a sick fuck. He's like, why? He's like, why would he want to roast the winners? And this is coming from Jeff Ross calling me a sick fuck. So I'm kind of proud of that.
That's good. That's a badge of honor.
It is a badge of honor. It was really funny. It was great content that nobody will see. But if you were there in person, it was amazing.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I noticed something about your events and your personal brand is that, you do all these incredible things with these really high level people, but it seems like you really do almost like go through a lot of effort to like hide it. So what is the rationale? What's the reasoning behind, and why might somebody else who, is maybe doing events and stuff like that, why do you not publicize it? Because I'm the opposite. Like everything I do, I got to share it everywhere. where did you learn, or where did you kind of feel that there was more value in keeping it hidden and secret?
It's a very good question. Well, what's funny is that within my industry of performance marketing, I guess you would say I'm pretty well known. So I'm a celebrity within an industry.
Okay.
But outside of that industry, I'm not known.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's kind of the way to have it.
It really
Like
is.
you
Yeah.
can walk the
Yeah.
street and you don't
Yeah.
get recognized. I go to a trade show,
Yeah.
I get stopped every 2
Yeah.
seconds. So for me, it's more about the exclusivity of my party, making sure that only my industry shows up. And, you know, if you have Snoop Dogg and let's say I did an interview with you right now and I'm like, Snoop Dogg's performing the next one,
Yeah.
you're going to get a lot of party crashers,
I see.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of this balance. How can I
Yeah.
stay low key enough that only the industry would know to go, which is why I built up a big newsletter and a database.
Yeah.
And I really only target people in the industry.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, the riches are in the niches, basically, right? So it's like if you
We're
got
not for everyone.
right. Well, no,
Just
I'm
the
just saying.
ballers.
I think it's interesting because it does seem a little bit contrarian, but when you explain it that way, it's almost like you're basically increasing the value of your event to the people that are most likely to do business with you, rather than going broader and then having to deal with all these people that you're never going to work with anyway, and wasting, like, watering down your resources on that. And I think that's an important lesson because a lot of people try to target everybody. And then what happens is you just like your energy, you only have so much energy to give, right? And so much resources. So when you're sharing it with all these people, you're not able to give the people that are most important to you the most attention, the most value, the most entertainment. And I think that's something, that's a really cool perspective that I've never really never thought of myself. So thanks for sharing that. So you've got the this year you're doing the affiliate ball, you're doing the AFIs. Any other events you have, or any products you have coming out, or?
Yeah, I'm always throwing pop-up meetups here and there. I could go to Fort Lauderdale. I'm big in Florida.
Okay.
My database
Nice.
is big in Florida.
There you go. Yeah.
So I could throw a party within 24 hours and get a crowd. But you know, the things that I'm working on right now is marketingfirm.com.
That's a great name.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm the original owner of that.
Marketingfirm.com. Okay.
There's only one marketing firm. So that's for like people that are in the performance marketing industry that are looking for either a call center, but they don't know who to use. I can give them a warm intro. You have people doing high risk credit card processing. They need a merchant account. So maybe they're doing like peptides or they're doing Ozempic. They want an online pharmacy, which I could also help them get started with. I could get you your own white label pharmacy, which is really cool. So there's a whole bunch of different ways I could help people, design work, whatever it is that they need.
Love it. Cool. Okay. And so now I want to get into kind of like the educational segment of the show. So for the people that are watching here, let's say they're influencers, let's say they're a dancer, let's say they're an entrepreneur even, what are 3 tips that you could give to somebody who wants to incorporate events into their overall marketing plans? Since you really do throw the best events, I got to tell you, I've been to a lot of you. I've been going to your events for 10 years. So you throw great events, always a great crowd. I always make money when I leave the event. I always get the right connections. So you're doing it right. What are the top 3 things that you could share that you think make your events most successful that our listeners could apply?
Well, you know, like I said before, they're not free to throw.
Yeah.
So you have to have a budget. So when you have a budget, you have to figure, okay, well, I could get this artist who's going to be maybe $100,000. I could get this artist who's maybe $50,000, or I could go in the $10,000 range. So as a promoter, you want to figure out, first of all, who can I afford to get? And then you got to know catalog. Like how many hits do they have? Like, so if I were to do this artist, they have a ton of hits everybody knows. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll do a few of the cheaper artists, right, to equal one big artist. So if a big artist is going to cost you $100,000 to $200,000, maybe you could find maybe the hot buttons for people and get maybe a big influencer artist. Like I like to get Harry Mack.
Yeah, I know you love Harry Mack. He was
Harry
great.
Mack.
He's really fun and really
and I'm
interactive.
not saying he's cheap, by the way, because his price has also gone up. But you can get like someone like that and mix it with another, maybe an old school artist with a catalog plus another one. And I think the sum of all the parts could equal one big one. But then beyond that, you have to know, well, how am I going to pay for this? Maybe a lot of people don't have the bankroll to do it. So what I do is I make sponsorships out of it. So there's packages. So those packages could give like VIP passes, regular passes, maybe a reserved table. So now you're kind of like chopping it up into like a drug dealer would, I'll give you like a gram of this.
Right.
But that's how we do it. You got to chop it up into exposure. What do they get in return?
Right.
Is there a newsletter? Is there social media?
Yeah, value, right? I call it value-driven deliverables, because a lot of people that do events are just like, oh, can you sponsor my event? I'm like, well, what do you get out of it? And they're like, oh, no, you're just sponsoring the event. And I always think that it's better when they're like, oh, no, you can meet the artist, or you can do this, or you get this. So you would say number one would be align yourself with like an artist that's a draw, or like entertainment draw.
Yeah, if you can.
Yep,
Yeah.
if you can. And then number two would be sponsoring and like create sponsorship with value-driven sponsorships, so you can finance the artist and so you can finance the event. And then what would your third tip be to throw in a great
Target
event?
your audience. Know who your audience would be.
Yeah.
Like for me, I have a very private audience of digital marketers, but if I wasn't doing that, and let's say it was more for consumers, then I would have to say, okay, I know who my audience is. They're fans of T-Pain, for example. Maybe they're gamers. Maybe they're hip hop heads. So you have to know who your audience is and market to them. But back on the branding part with the sponsors, a lot of venues already have video screens in place. And that's a huge part for a sponsor, is to be able to see their logo right behind the artist as they're performing. So for anybody looking to do something like that, that's a huge part of the equation. You're going to get your logo seen all night. And for a lot of people, even like for yourself, if you were to show somebody, Glazers Media, and you have a huge logo right behind, I just did Method Man recently in New York, that looks good, you know, and it looks like you're doing big things. So now maybe you could put that in your press release, and with an image of, now you got either Fat Joe or Method Man or Snoop Dogg and your logo right behind them.
Yep. So we're going to recap. Number one is make sure you have a draw for your event. Number two is events are expensive, so use sponsors to finance that. And the best way to do sponsorships is to create offers basically that are value driven, so the sponsors know what they're paying for. And then number three was, you just said it,
know your audience.
Know your audience.
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
got to know your audience. I spaced out for a second.
That's okay. I do too.
But so number three, you got to know your audience. So yeah, if you got the right audience and you know the audience, actually, I would put number one. So you got to know your audience first, then get a draw that's important to that audience, right? Because different musicians or dancers or different entertainment might be a draw for different audiences, right?
Yeah,
So,
and I'm a little different than most people because I'm really into music.
Right.
So hold on a second.
There you go.
That
better
must be
that
my
better be-
alarm going off saying time to
that
make
better
some
be
money.
too short, bro. Let's
Right?
go.
Sorry
That better
about
be
that.
too short calling to lock it in.
He said yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's too
Okay.
short
Cool.
saying
We
yes.
did it.
Anyway, lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that.
You're all
I
good.
thought I had it on sleep mode.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We got to wake them up sometimes.
So you got to know your audience for sure, but you want to be able to go into it knowing that you have sponsors raised, so you don't have to spend a lot of money yourself. Oh, and then when you use a venue for the first time, usually they want to give you like a minimum amount that you have to do in sales, right? So like the bar needs to hit 40 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. But after you do your first time with a venue and you prove that you could do those numbers, they're more likely to give you a lower bar minimum or a lower fee. So the trick is to find a venue you like that you could work with and crush it that first time with them, because the next time you come back, you're going to get a favorable deal.
There you go. That's a hot tip from the man D
Don't
Money
compete
himself.
against me. Don't get into performance marketing.
There's plenty of parties and niches to throw. I think people. I think there's more than enough to share. But those are the real insights from the man himself, D Money, founder of the Players Ball, the Affiliate Ball, and the AFI Awards. Guys, anybody who wants to do business with you, how can they connect with you, Darren?
Well, you could probably follow me on Real Darren Blatt on Instagram. You could also go to marketingfirm.com if you're interested in the performance marketing space or becoming a client to learn how to monetize what you do. I'm a creative like yourself. I like to think outside of the box. So if you're kind of at your beginning stage trying to figure out, okay, I want to do this, how can I monetize it? I'll help you come up with a strategy and figure out, how are we going to monetize what it is you want to sell or what you want to do as a service.
Love it. Well, don't follow the fake Darren Blatt. Follow the real Darren Blatt on Instagram. Check out marketingfirm.com. Make sure you guys get on the list for the affiliate ball if you are in the digital marketing space. It's one of the best parties that I've ever been to. He's got some great artists coming up for his next couple. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, like we said, an extremely special episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from West Hollywood, California. I'm your host, Vito Glazers, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.